I don't know if you're old enough to remember the late 60s and 70s when if you bought a little portable cassette tape recorder with, say, the Pi logo on, you'd go down the road and find virtually exactly the same tape recorder, but with the Philips badge on, but with a slightly different shaped play button or something. Well, it was an early example of two companies getting together, doing a deal, and marketing virtually the same product at different markets. And the same thing has happened in MPV world. Now, this MPV is the result of joint cooperation between two massive European car manufacturers, from Italy, the Fiat Group, and from France, PSA. And that means that if you walk into your Citroen dealership, you'll find this one, the Citroen Synergie. If you go into your Fiat dealership, they'll offer you the Fiat Ulysses. And there's also a Lancia version of this called the Lancia Z. And of course, Peugeot, they offer this as the 806. But what I'm driving today is the Citroen Synergie, just because I like to say it. When it comes to multi-badging, of course, the Volkswagen Chiron is built in the same place in Portugal as the Seat Alhambra, which is also built in the same place as the Ford Galaxy, that G word, the Galaxy. You'll probably say, what's he talking about this for? This came out before the Ford Galaxy. Haven't I read that the Galaxy variant MPV is the class-leading MPV? It drives like a car. In fact, it's better all round. Well, not necessarily. Let me show you why you shouldn't dismiss this model out of hand. Open up the door to some MPVs, you get a sort of artificial plastic feel to the thing. Not so with this. This exudes quality. As a estate agent would say, it's very well appointed. Good quality upholstery, a nice airy feeling to the whole thing, especially with the two sunroofs. The one at the front has got two cute little blinds. This middle one is absolutely huge, and it opens with an electric version here on the SX, so you can put your heads out and pretend you're on safari, I suppose. Not many zebras or giraffes around here. And you'll notice the seats at the front, they do swivel around, the captain's chair as they call them. Hi, Captain. And even the driver's chair turns around. Now, some MPVs don't allow the driver's chair to turn around. It was a bit of a shame, really, because the driver wants to join in the picnic or the conference in that lay-by. But they think, no, if we let the driver's chair turn around, maybe the driver would dare to drive facing backwards. An MPV or people carrier is designed to carry people, so the only way to truly check one out is to fill it with passengers and find out their comments. Check out all the storage areas and see if they satisfy your family's needs. Children particularly love MPVs because they're high up and they get a great view out of the huge windows, as well as the opportunity to have virtually a different seat for every day of the holiday. But before you buy one of these vehicles, you have to weigh up the benefits of an idyllic family holiday vehicle against the disadvantages of use the rest of the year. Do you really want a vehicle so big for solo commuting? Fuel consumption is obviously poorer in a heavier car, but the Synergie isn't actually that bad. We managed about 30-32 to the gallon on the petrol SX model. You'll find you'll drive economically anyway. This is not a performance car, but a vehicle that is at its best, driven sedately. Now, if you've never driven anything larger than the average saloon before, driving one of these MPVs does take a bit of getting used to. After all, this Synergie is about 8 inches wider than the Citroen Xantia. If you are in a tight squeeze, however, there is a panic button over here. Push this, the wing mirrors go in, give you an extra foot or so of space, and then after you're through that tight squeeze, push the button again, and they flip back to the preset position. But, you know, sat back in the chair, the steering wheel is fine, just as in a normal car, but everything else is so far away. You can't quite reach the tissue box. You can't even adjust the mirror safely once you're sat back in your chair, and the radio seems far away. And that's why all MPVs should have some sort of remote control system for the radio. This Citroen has the system where they've got the buttons on the steering wheel, which is fine. It's certainly better than reaching over here, but I don't like this system, simply because you hold your steering wheel at 10-2. Where are your thumbs? Exactly, the buttons are down here. So you find yourself taking a hand off the wheel and stabbing around for the correct button, which may not even be down here. If you're going around a roundabout, they could be up here somewhere. I think a far better option is the one used on my trusty Peugeot, where instead of having buttons on the wheel, you actually have a separate stalk on the right-hand side. So it doesn't matter where your hands are on the wheel, your hands never leave the wheel, because your right hand simply pushes down on this stalk for volume or pushes away for changing channel. A far safer option. The Synergie from some angles may look like it has the aerodynamics of a bread van, but if you don't mind it looking squarish, the ride you'll discover is extremely comfortable with low road noise and surprisingly low wind noise as well, under 65. The 2-litre injection petrol engine in this SX model delivers 123 brake horsepower, which is adequate even when fully laden, but don't expect to be first off from the lights. If you've never experienced MPV motoring before, you'll be thrilled by the huge panoramic windscreen and the raised driving position. The gear stick is on the dash and handbrake is by the door to give an uncluttered floor space. By the way, an automatic box is not available on any version of this MPV. And with these beautifully comfortable seats and the little touches we come to expect like cup and bottle holders and sunglasses compartment, the Citroen Synergie looks like an excellent, practical, multi-purpose vehicle. But at the back end of the vehicle, this is where the story starts to go horribly wrong, and you realise that the Galaxy's extra 7 inches of actual length of vehicle does come in extremely handy. Let's assume we've gone to the airport, you've picked up 6 friends off their flight, and they're very happy in their nice, comfortable seats inside. What do you do with their luggage? Suitcase number 1. Fantastic. 5 other suitcases? Yes. Well, this is it. It's a people mover, it's not a people and luggage mover. Let me quote you from Citroen's own brochure. The possibilities are boundless. Synergie can comfortably carry up to 7 passengers and all their luggage or leisure equipment. All their luggage or leisure equipment. Excuse me, but am I missing something here? We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's a poor translation from the French. Because there are so many MPVs on the market, you'll find that the manufacturers try to out-gimmick each other, and you'll find features that you won't actually need. For example, on the Synergie, the back 2 windows open, little electric buttons. The kids love playing with them at the back. They don't actually let that much air in. Also, the front sunroof also opens. Again, it's not very effective as a way of ventilation. In fact, I recommend don't open any windows at all, because you're going to go for the automatic aircon option, which is the most amazing and quiet and efficient aircon system I've seen for ages actually. Set your desired temperature, switch to auto, and just let it do its stuff. It doesn't just cool the front passengers, but also the back as well, through clever ducts it has through armrests and underneath the floor and everything like that. It's very efficient. In fact, you know, in computer rooms where they have an aircon unit, there's always some wag who puts up a notice saying, "Please close the door. My air conditioning unit cannot cool the universe." Well, actually, I think this one probably could. So, what do you think about this Citroen Synergie? I personally like it very much indeed. I like the driving position. I like the gear stick being here, clearing the floor. The interior is great, and it's quiet and refined at speeds. I like it better than the Galaxy for motorway driving. However, what this doesn't have is handling. If you want handling, then the Galaxy 2.3 engine is fantastic for that, or the Volkswagen Chiron VR6. But this is fine. You're not going to go for sporting rides with your family in your back, are you? But if you do have your family with you, every seat is full. What do you do with the luggage? This is the problem shared with all MPVs like this. You could put a pod on the roof, but that's going to cut down your miles per gallon considerably. Are you going to send your luggage on ahead? It's very impractical. So if you are going to need an MPV that has people and space for luggage, you really only have 2 choices in this country. There's the Ford Tourneo, which is based on the Ford Transit. It's actually slightly smaller in length than the Galaxy. It's not as flashy. It is based on the Transit, but it is more practical. It shares the dash and the gearbox of the Mondeo. Another huge hauler you ought to have a look at is the Chrysler Grand Voyager. This is the Voyager, the version with the long wheelbase, plenty of space in the back for all your luggage. This is America's favorite for a family carry-all that's not quite in RV territory. It does cost about £25,000 in this country, but you may think it's worth it for the space you get. But if your heart is set on owning a Citroen Synergie, or maybe one of the variants from Peugeot, Fiat, or for our continental viewers Lancia, all hope is not lost. Considering this is a joint French-Italian venture, here's a great British compromise. Look, there's plenty of space for luggage if you take a seat out. So you've got enough space for 5 people, plus the driver, and plenty of luggage. Granny didn't want to come anyway.